we are.
Yeah. We have Dr. Jill my daughter always wants me to pronounce this. Wait, Wingerter. Did I
You
do it?
got it. That's right.
Yeah. She has your husband for algebra. So, and I always have to call him Mr. W because
Yeah.
I can't pronounce the name all the time. Okay. So
neither could I, Sybil. It's all right. I thought it was Wingerter, which I thought was interesting. It's like he teaches math and integer, but no, that was wrong.
No. That's
Anyway.
Yeah. So you are the owners of Sunflower Yoga Studio on Philadelphia Street here locally in Indiana. Can you tell us a little bit about Sunflower Yoga Studio?
Sure, I'd be happy to. I opened the studio in February of 2008. So we've been running for 12 years, offering yoga, meditation, dance fitness, sometimes Tai Chi when we have an instructor, Joe. And this is our 13th year. And I've always heard it said that number 12 is the number of completion. Number 13, number of transformation, death and rebirth. So honestly, I approached this year with a little bit of trepidation, like what is year 13 going to bring for us? So here we are. 2 months, right? We haven't been able to be open. So we're offering online classes through Zoom. Isn't everything through Zoom these days? 3 yoga, 3 fitness a week. So they can be found on our yoga, sunfloweryogastudio.com. We have them on there. There's one tonight at 7 if anyone wants to join after the show. But this is a big change, and I miss it. And certainly there's no income. We're offering these classes for free right now until the end of the week. 2 classes will go back to the studio next week as a trial. We're going to keep them at 10 or fewer people, and see how it goes. And the rest will continue until the end of May, and we'll reevaluate then. So that's from start to finish. Here we are. And what else can I tell you?
Well, you can tell us a little bit about how do you feel, what do you think the benefits of yoga are right now, especially in reduction of stress. Dr. May was just talking about, a lot of the stress, anxiety that people are feeling. I know that I do yoga. I do it on a regular basis. It is a stress reliever. How do you think yoga can benefit people dealing with the stress right now?
It can be very helpful. A lot of the things Dr. May was saying made me think like, wow, yoga is a really wonderful practice for self-care. And I know not everyone is into yoga. I've heard the statistic over and over again that 10% of the population, something like, I don't even remember the number, but 10% practices yoga. So a lot of people aren't going to want to hear this, or want to hear about yoga. So I would say more than anything, movement is important. If we could start with that. I'm working from home online. So is my husband. So are our kids. Everyone's at the computer all the time, and we're all together all the time. And it's not all bad, but it can be stressful. So just getting away from the computer, doing something where you're moving your body in a way that you enjoy. So taking a walk or stretching or jumping on your trampoline, whatever it is. But mindfulness, I would say if you don't want to actually practice yoga postures, anyone can do mindfulness. And that's what's really helpful. And that's what you're talking about, just breathe. Just breathe. It's such a simple practice. And I have a pretty active mind. I'm type A personality. I always wonder what I would be like without yoga, So it's so helpful. If you can think, my gosh, you're brushing your teeth or washing your dishes, you can be mindful. It's just mindfulness is just being present. And sometimes that can be scary when things like this are going on. And we have so many fears and anxieties or just a lot of stressors in our lives. So it's just stopping, breathing, and being present to what's happening. And there are a number of really great meditations that can help with this. And as Dr. May was talking, I thought of one, and since we were talking about fear so often, there's this practice in Tibetan Buddhism called fear practice. So it's feel it, embrace it, allow it, and remember. So that's really easy to remember. We're trying to get rid of fear, actually, not embrace the fear. But the idea is, like, we're going to feel whatever's coming up and whatever's happening, as scary as that might be. And when you embrace it, that's so counterintuitive. Normally we want to push it away, but just for a moment, embrace it and let it be there. It's there anyway. And then the allowing of it, this is the hard part for me because my mind is so busy. And like in PTSD, they talk about how it's not even so much the original trauma, it's the story that our mind tells about that trauma over and over. It's like wanting to resolve it. And so we keep talking about it. The allowing is just stopping the story. It's like, okay, I'm just going to let this, whatever it is happening, be there. And this is the biggest key for me. And it's like in this time where we are sometimes isolated, we don't always have to be. The remember is that, wow, we are all in this together. I'm not really truly isolated. I'm not going through this all by myself. I feel very separate sometimes, but if you can remember, and then your prayer or your meditation or whatever is for resolution, not just for yourself, but for everyone. Like, right, maybe all be happy and peaceful and free of suffering. So that meditation is really key for me. So I'll put that out there for people who don't actually want to do yoga, for the 90% of you who are listening and might not want to come. But as a yoga practitioner, I have to say, yes, it's helped me immensely. I know it's helped so many people I talk to who come to classes. And actually, my mother signed me up for yoga classes when I was 10 or 11, because this is a long time ago, before ADHD. I was diagnosed as hyperactive. So my mom didn't want to put me on drugs. So she took me to a yoga class, and it was amazing. I've been practicing yoga since then. And I can see, yeah, the difference in so many people. Just the integrative practice of the body, the mind, and the spirit. So we're bringing everything together, just being present and being mindful. So
Yeah, I think
head, right?
right. I think there's such a misinterpretation. Like when people talk about yoga, they think it's just about, doing the poses or hitting,
Touching your toes.
yeah, or crow, or that the famous handstand or headstand.
Right.
And you were talking about, so poses it is an important part of it. It's getting to know your body through this pose. It's a very important part, I think, of yoga. And you were talking about the mindfulness aspect of it. But I want to talk a little bit about pranayama, which is, it's the breathing, and it's one of the most important practices, I feel, in yoga. As you know, it's not simply just inhaling and exhaling air. Translated actually means expansion of the life force. And what do you believe, as a practicing yogi and as a practitioner, the global community can expand or extend toward each other, like more symbolically? And what can we do during such an uncertain time to make sure that our life forces stay strong, powerful, and very positive?
These are great questions, Sybil. You can tell you yoga and mindfulness.
I love it. I love it.
No, I think pranayama is amazing. It's just really the recognition of the life force and the fact that we are a part of it, and all of us interconnected. And being present, being mindful, is becoming a little bit more aware of how we, I want to use the word use, but the way that we direct our energy, so that we're not so much jerked around by it. I used to think of myself as a much younger person as a rag doll. I could be set off by anything and so easily upset. The wind would blow. And now, maybe this just comes with getting older anyway, but certainly mindfulness practice helps to just stay present, to just breathe, and some very simple techniques. Another one, I'm sure you've heard of, Thich Nhat Hanh. And if you look up his practices on YouTube, just pieces every step, one of his most foundational books. So simple. And I say these in yoga classes all the time. In the beginning, when we're centering, it's just breathing in, I calm my body, breathing out, I smile. And it's this just light relaxing of the jaw. It's a light smile, and it just has this calming effect. It's so simple. And then remembering, like I said before, that we're not alone, we're not separate. And one teacher I follow, Pima Chodron, will talk about how so many times she realizes that people blame themselves for their circumstances. In some way, we feel responsible, or we could have done something to prevent this. If only we had done something differently. And she's like, that's part of dropping the story. You're not. Don't feel guilty. Don't let go of the self-blame. I think that's really a Western thing. They say that these practitioners don't get that, but we Westerners are so full of self-blame and guilt. Just letting that go and thinking, I'm not alone. We are in this together. And just being aware of that life force that connects us all is freeing in a way. Not to say misery loves company. It's more like we're in this together, and we can survive together, and we can pull together. And there are resources in our community. Everything we've been talking about here today is just such a wonderful reminder of that. Is it easy? It is easy some days to fall down the sinkhole. I know. I'm in front of my computer and you're anxious and worried, and some days things aren't going right. It happens. We all go there. It's okay. Well, you can come back. You just come back to the breath and it's like refresh, right? And you get another, another start.
Well, thanks for sharing with us, what's going on at Sunflower. We know you got to run to a class, but can you tell us if someone wants to join the community at Sunflower now or in the future? If you want to pop on the 7 o'clock class or the 7 o'clock class, how can
Yeah.
people join your yoga community at
There we
Sunflower?
go. From our homepage, which is sunfloweryogastudio.com, just click that schedule page. And that's it. That's our virtual studio right now with 6 classes a week. And they're free. They're available to anyone. And you can always, they're Zoom, so you can always keep your camera off if you don't want others to see you. It can be completely private. But they've been really great. And I will say this, I've never really practiced Zumba before, even though I offer these classes at my own studio. But over the past months, I've started practicing them regularly. And it's kind of odd how I feel connected to the other women who are taking classes. We've developed this little camaraderie. I look forward to them. I don't want those classes to go back to the studio because I'm getting my
Yeah.
living room routine, and I know we all like it. So I guess there is a new normal in some ways. We make adjustments and realize like, hey, I never tried this before. This is all right. So we're talking about maybe having classes at the studio that are also virtual classes to give people the option, so that we have to figure out. And Brandon, we might need your help because
You hear
he's the
that,
tech
Brandon?
man. Anyway, but thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, you're very, very welcome. I'll see you somewhere around the studio. You said next week you have 2 classes that are going to be available in the studio because I know some of
Yes.
the social distancing requirements and mitigation efforts have been loosened just a little bit. And
Yeah.
so you said you can have like 10 in your studio, and it's a
Mhm.
huge space.
It is. Yeah.
It is. So what days and times would that be?
They're actually the dance fitness Zumba classes. So they'll be
Okay.
Monday and Wednesday at 5:15. And then
Okay. Wonderful.
the yoga classes will still be Zoom classes until the end of the month. And we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Right. Well, wonderful. Thank you
Best.
so much.
Thanks, Sybil.
Take
Thanks.
care.
Take care.